I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
Homicidal clothes cause I'm dressed to kill. Leave 6 bitches oohing cause I'm worth a mil. Flow is ill, spitting no vomit spill. Killing them softly but I ain't Lauren.
What is up, my people? Welcome to another episode of the Townie Sports Podcast. I am one of your 2 tremendous hosts for this evening, Sammy, and of course I am joined alongside none other than the man, the myth, and my golf coach, Vic. Vic, how are you doing, bro?
I'm doing wonderful, Sammy. Thank you for asking. Happy to be here with us. Happy to be here with you and be talking about the NFL season has gone on so far and to go on in the future. We have a Thursday night matchup coming up I'd love to get into.
Yeah. So what we're going to give you tonight is we're just going to talk about the Thursday Night Football, preview it right before kickoff. I think we have kickoff in about 10 to 15 minutes, so we'll start with that. And then as you go, you can also have us on in the background while you have the game on and listen to how we recap kind of the rest of the week. We're probably going to make it pretty quick, pretty short, get right to the point because it is Thursday. We like to do these Tuesday, but no matter, no worries. So let's dive right into it. So tonight we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Or we have the Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. So obviously both of them coming off big victories last week. The Chiefs obviously demolishing the Cardinals and the Chargers holding off the new and improved Las Vegas Raiders. So what do you see in this matchup, Vic? And who do you like, honestly?
Who do I like from a betting perspective and who do I like from a football perspective are actually going to be the same this week, Sammy. I don't know if you heard Bart Scott's ridiculous comments on Get Up this week, where he mentioned that he doesn't even think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to make the playoffs this year, let alone win this game. I don't agree with Bart Scott that they're going to miss the playoffs. I do agree that the Chargers are a much improved team defensively. They have some great defensive players on that team. Now, I have their rankings here, the team rankings, based off of Week 1 results. Obviously, tiny sample size, as we like to say on the show. But if you look at their stats, they're pretty evenly matched. Their overall power rankings this week, the Chiefs came out 3rd, and the Chargers came out 7th. The Chargers probably played the tougher opponent in Las Vegas Raiders, whereas I feel like we're going to have a down year for the Arizona Cardinals this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cliff Kingsbury on the hot seat at the end of this year. And if we let's break it down, pass run percentage. We got a pretty much even spread with the Chargers last week. 47% of their run percent of their plays were run plays. 52% were pass plays. On the other side of the ball, you see Kansas City 37% run, 62.9% throwing the football. So the loss of Tyreek Hill hasn't done anything to the confidence of Andy Reid in his throwing game. This is a team that's going to throw the ball. They still have Patrick Mahomes. Juju Smith-Schuster is still there. Give a little bit of love to Scantling as well. Your boy, I know. Go Bulls. And if we look at the QB comparison for tonight, Justin Herbert with a PFF grade of 79.8 last game. Patrick Mahomes with a QB grade of 74.2. Their passing rating in a clean pocket, 143 apiece. So very similar. Here's where the difference strikes, okay? Under pressure, Justin Herbert's passer rating was 85%. 85. Matt Mahomes' passer rating under pressure, 138. Obviously, Mahomes is a more polished quarterback at this time, but it all depends on can Kansas City's pass rush get to Justin Herbert and create that lower passer rating that we saw in his first game against the Raiders. In my opinion, I don't think they'll get there. The offensive line doesn't have that many injuries. It looks like a clean offensive line, I should say, today for the San Diego Chargers. No impact player injuries for the Chiefs, and only one Keenan Allen inactive because of a leg for the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, the Keenan Allen injury is obviously key here. We're going to see if that offense can still remain fluid, and I think it can because if you look at the stats from Justin Herbert last week, he was pretty consistent to everybody. You're looking at the amount of targets. He spreads the ball extremely, extremely well. You're looking at two quarterbacks that actually like to do that and have to do that given how their offenses are matching up. And overall, I don't 100% agree with your power rankings. I think this Chargers defense is a little bit better than Kansas City Chiefs, if not a lot better, as they sacked Derek Carr last week 9 times. Khalil Mack being 3 of those sacks. I think Bosa had about 2 or 3 as well. So I think this Chargers defense is really good. We're going to see if the Chiefs can try and do the same things that they did last week against this Chargers defense. I don't think they'll be as successful. Not to mention it is a short week, so we do see a lot of, kind of duds, at least in the first half on a short week. But if we get a gunslinging game, that's what I'm all for. And I'm with you. I like the Chargers here. I took the Chargers +4 in this matchup. I also took the under because I believe when I was looking at it, the under was 54. It's now dropped down to about 53.5. So
yes, that's correct.
What did you like there? Did you like any of that? I think you also took.
I threw some beans on Los Angeles. I also threw some beans on some advice of a friend of ours to take the over on Justin Herbert's passing touchdowns. I'm not sure if he wants to be named, so I won't name him, but took some advice there. I don't like going over under this early in the season, especially on a Thursday night. I know Thursday nights do tend to run under, but with 2 high-powered offenses here, even without Keenan Allen, I can easily see both teams putting up points and hitting that over.
With that being said, let's dive into the Week 1 recap. I know the game has just started, so all of that information now is out there. So Vic, you will keep us updated if any scores happen, correct? Because I think you have the game on in the background.
We're going to give live updates here. So if you're watching the game in the background and maybe have the game muted or whatnot, we are here to keep you live for all the scores. Think of us as the Talking Red Zone channel.
Heck yeah. All right. So Week 1 recap. Let's start with the Thursday night game because obviously that was quite a shocker. The Buffalo Bills were obviously victorious against the Los Angeles Rams. Crazy, crazy game. I took the over and I got shot in the leg. I also did take Bills -4, so that was awesome. Josh Allen, 26 for 31, 297 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Matthew Stafford, 29 for 41, 240 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks. And obviously Cooper Kupp doing his thing, 13 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown. And then Stephon Diggs on the other side is still one of the best receivers in the league with 8 receptions, 122 yards, and a touchdown. Vic, what did you see in this game? And if you are the Los Angeles Rams, are you currently worried about your team?
Well, let me start off by talking about the winning team here, Sammy, and the Buffalo Bills. So Bills quarterback, obviously Josh Allen, continues to make my overrated comment from last year looks stupider and stupider as he goes on. He went 24 of 29 for 279 yards, like you mentioned. He added 56 yards and a touchdown on 10 rushing attempts. So that's the offensive spotlight there. If we go look at the defensive spotlight for the Buffalo Bills here, Von Miller, incredible game. Was not expecting that from an 11-year veteran. Recorded 2 sacks and 3 hurries on 25 pass rush snaps. So Von Miller is here, ladies and gentlemen, to stay. And if we look at the offensive line for the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams, it was the Rams' offensive line, the offensive line that probably looked best last year, giving up 7 sacks, 4 hits, 13 hurries, and 50 snaps. So when Stafford is under duress like he was that last game, it's going to be tough for any team to for them to beat any team. I mean, Stafford looked like a different quarterback. I think in standard scoring, he scored 10.8 points, 29 of 41 for only 240 yards and 3 picks. So not great. If you're a Rams fan, I think it's more of they ran into a good opponent on opening night. Things were hype. I think they'll right the ship. I still think they're going to win the division, but concerning as far as Stafford's play.
Yeah, I think the huge story here was Von Miller, right? That Bills pass rush. Miller had 2 sacks and 3 QB hurries on the day. I don't know if you had mentioned that already. I had to step away for a second. But the Bills overall produced 7 sacks and 3 interceptions. But then you look on the other side of the ball, the Rams still managed the 3 turnovers as well with the 2 interceptions, or 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. So the Rams defense still looks good, right? So I guess from a Rams perspective, you're confident in that aspect. Okay, the defense still looks good, better. I mean, but this is a good offense. I mean, Jalen Ramsey got destroyed. Got destroyed. Yeah.
Torched.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at the box score stats here. Stephon Diggs, 9 targets, 8 receptions from those 9 targets.
Yeah.
So only missed 1 ball, 122 yards total offense from Stephon.
That's
Diggs.
a good wide receiver, though.
Stephon Diggs, 13 yards per target and 15 yards per reception. I mean, he torched Ramsey.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you look at the offensive line for the Rams, not very good. Matthew Stafford was sacked on 15% of his dropbacks, so you're looking at almost a quarter of his dropbacks were sacks. So if I'm the Los Angeles Rams, I'm a little bit worried about this offense. I'm worried a little bit about the offensive line, and I'm also worried about how stagnant the offense looks. I'm in agreement with you. I think they will right the ship. I think this team is really good. They have a lot of talent. I just think the cohesiveness isn't quite there yet, considering they do have a lot of pieces on that offense. Obviously losing Gerald Everett, losing Robert Woods, as you like to call him, Bobby Trees. That's your boy. And obviously not really acclimating Allen Robinson into this offense, and it just really looked like, and I think our boy Mikey mentioned it perfectly, where he said Allen Robinson will eventually get into that circle of trust. He's just not quite there yet. It was really just Stafford looking for Kupp on almost every play.
Well, let's look at this. Should we cancel Matt Stafford? 15 targets to Cooper Kupp, 11 targets to Tyler Higbee, 6 targets to Ben Skowronek. I'm seeing a trend here, Sammy, that I don't like, man. I think we might be talking about time to cancel Matt Stafford.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could eventually get to that point. But yeah, if I'm the Rams, it's week 1. Let's not worry too much. I made Sammy
uncomfortable with my joke.
You worry a little bit, but I wouldn't worry too much. This is a great Buffalo Bills team. So I think you just take it as that, and you take your L, and you lick your wounds, and you hope that the offense looks way better next week, because that was brutal.
Yep.
All right, and obviously let's get to Sunday and talk about the crap show that you and I had to suffer through. Honestly, I was watching Red Zone. I didn't even care as much, and I was so happy that I didn't see enough highlights of the Patriots, because that just made me feel like they were that awful. So the New England Patriots, 7 at Miami Dolphins 20. So obviously the Dolphins were victorious over the New England Patriots. Mac Jones, 21 for 30, 213 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Tua Tagovailoa, 23 for 33, 270 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 8 receptions, 94 yards. And of course, Jalen Waddle got into the scoring metric there. So yeah, help me. I don't know. I wanted to say talk me off the ledge of the New England Patriots, but I don't know if you possibly can, because I think we're probably on the same boat finally on the New England Patriots. Usually we're opposing, but I think we're finally coming together after what we saw on Sunday.
Well, here's the thing: the only bright spot for the New England Patriots was the offensive line. In terms of personnel. So yes, they did.
I think the front seven was pretty good too. I think the defensive front seven was pretty decent. Not in coverage, but I think in run block.
That was fine.
Yeah.
The line looks. The line looked good in run blocking, but in terms of pass protection, they looked a little suspect. But if you look at their run blocking grades on Pro Football Focus. It actually might surprise you because it did me. Just watching the game, it looked like they were bad. Right. I was like, they suck. And after looking at the Pro Football Focus grades, they actually graded out not too badly.
Because Mac Jones had a lot of time to throw.
Yeah, and so let's be honest, Mac Jones sucks. So I think that's the biggest issue here is that we have a quarterback that is limited at best. Tyreek Hill did his thing on the offensive side of the ball, even with a quarterback that, let's be honest, was subpar. Tyreek Hill still put up 18 fantasy points, 1 carry for 6 yards, and then on top of that, in terms of receptions, he had 12 targets, 8 receptions for 94 yards. So he did all that without a touchdown. So Tyreek Hill is still a stud in every league. He's an instant starter. On the other end of the ball, on the other side of the ball, not other side of the ball, other side of the field, Jalen Waddle also put up a solid game, 17.7 fantasy points in standard leagues. Like you mentioned before, I believe you mentioned before, 5 targets, 4 receptions, 69 yards, and a touchdown. So I think both Miami wide receivers are definitely starting caliber wide receivers in any and all fantasy leagues. I definitely think Tyreek Hill is still a number 1 guy.
Yeah. I mean, to counter your Mac Jones, I'm kind of coming around towards that side. I'm not going to fully say he sucks yet. I thought Mac Jones was efficient, but I don't think we've seen. I know it's only week 1, but I just didn't see anything more than what I saw last year. Right? It's kind of just more of the same. I mean, he threw 70% for completion. Most of his targets were within the 5 to 10 yards. He got progressively worse as he threw deeper passes. And I don't know what it is because the one play we saw in the fourth quarter when they finally threw Kendrick Bourne in, he threw a beautiful pass to him. And I think on another one in about the third quarter to Aguilar, he threw another beautiful pass. And
then immediately threw a ball in the dirt. Yeah. That's the thing. The most important thing about being a quarterback is consistency and getting that ball out consistently. And I will just say this: Justin Herbert has taken the Chargers over midfield. They are now in Kansas City territory, looking like they're charging Austin. Is that Austin? No, that's Kelly. Taking it down to the 30 of Kansas City. Second down now, and we will keep you apprised to all the latest happenings.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at it as a chicken and an egg situation. I don't think Mac Jones is getting a fair shot, but he's also not doing anything more to show us anything. And I think the times that he has gotten weapons on the field, a.k.a. when Kendrick Bourne was on the field a couple of times, I think we saw some pretty good plays, some pretty great throws. He has an accurate arm. I just don't think the wide receivers get open for him. And granted, this is a situation where he wanted to look at his number 1 target, in Devontae Parker, but obviously, the Miami Dolphins are going to put Xavier Howard on Devontae Parker just to prevent Mac Jones from getting that guy open. I thought the running backs were also solid. We saw Damian Harris lead the way with 9 carries on 5.8 yards per carry. And then on the other side, we saw a lot of turnovers, 2 fumbles and an interception for the Patriots. That's just not what you usually see from the New England offense. And they need weapons, first of all, and they need a real offensive coordinator. Like I don't hate. I didn't actually, to be honest, I didn't hate the play calling. I just didn't love it, right? And I didn't understand it. It was so vanilla that it just, I don't know. I just wasn't, I'm not impressed, and I knew exactly what this team was going to be. And then when at the times we saw Jonnu Smith make catches and make plays, he looked great, and then they just put him back to blocking. I'm just like, we have these 2 weapons here in Kendrick Bourne and Jonnu Smith, and we're just not utilizing them to make Mac Jones, at least alleviate him a little bit, to have a little bit more confidence. So I don't know. That's my take on it. And I am kind of siding with you. I am probably leaning more towards maybe Mac Jones is just overrated. And honestly, we're going to get to it. Maybe all of these Alabama quarterbacks are just not that great.
Right.
Anyway.
We'll be talking about it when we draft Bryce Love next year with the first overall pick because this team sucks.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's really, really bad. All right, moving on. Vic, to your team from last year, and I know they're not your team anymore, but maybe they still are. The Pittsburgh Steelers were victorious at the Cincinnati Bengals, 23-20. Joe Burrow, 33 for 53 for 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 picks. Mitch Trubisky, 21 for 38, 194 yards, and a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 10 receptions, 129 yards, and a touchdown. And something to keep in mind for anybody worrying, he had 16 targets. That is ridiculous. 16 targets for a wide receiver. That's looking really good. If you drafted him high in your drafts, that's what you want to see. You want to see those high target numbers. Yeah.
So,
Vic, what happened to the Bengals?
Yeah, let me go in here. So, what happened to the Bengals was a lack of a kicking game. So, for those of you that watched the game and actually watched the game, you know that the Bengals lost their long snapper early, which caused several of the snaps, the missed field goal and the missed extra point, to be high snaps, which can really throw off the kicker's timing. So I'm not throwing this on Evan McPherson, but my God, man, you had 2 chances to win the game and you blew both of them. The fact that Joe Burrow had the nuts to get his team down the field and put them in a winning position. And I don't know if you saw that, but 2 plays to Jamar Chase were touchdowns. He barely missed it by a foot.
Dude, he caught it. He caught it like this. He caught it like
behind him. An absolute animal. Jamar Chase is incredible. So I'm just going to run down the offensive spotlight here on Pro Football Focus. So I'm legitimately just going to read what they have here. So Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase did everything he could to help Cincinnati overcome the 5 turnovers in that game. Down for most of the contest, the Bengals were forced to put their pedal to the metal in the passing game early. The engine for that was Chase, who had 10 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown on 16 targets. He was the only skill position player to play more than 80 offensive snaps for Cincinnati, and he finished the game with an initial 74.0 Pro Football Focus grade to lead all offensive players. Just all in out, fantastic show from Jamar Chase. The turnovers on Burrow, you put that on him. Some of them were on him, some of them weren't. But I'll tell you what, the new offensive line graded out. Their initial grade was a 62.7, which was the second best on the team. I'm sorry. Their newest offensive lineman, Alex Kappa, had a decent first game. His initial Pro Football Focus rating, 62.7, which ranked second best on the team and third best in the game overall of all linemen. So they did a great job there in the blocking. You could see that they're getting there. Sammy, I chalk this up to early season issues. I think that they're going to be fine. I still like this team to win the division.
Are the Steelers legit?
No, they lost a big player in TJ Watt. Who knows how long he's going to be gone for? He had I believe he tore his pec at the end of the season. Have you heard anything about him coming back?
He's going to be yes, it is a torn pec. It was confirmed, as always, by the Pittsburgh Steelers coach, Mike Tomlin. He could miss up to 6 weeks, and that's kind of a bummer for that team because that defense looked really good. And honestly, the biggest part of that defense was obviously Minkah Fitzpatrick and himself, TJ Watt, just wreaking havoc. So keep an eye on that defense going forward. That was a defense I really liked coming into this year, but losing one of your most disruptive players is going to hurt. But I still have faith that this Pittsburgh defense can stay afloat until TJ Watt gets back. So we will have to, obviously see that by midseason.
Two things on Pittsburgh here, guys. So 2 things. Minkah Fitzpatrick's initial Pro Football Focus grade for that game was 91.6. So if you think a player like Jamar Chase had a 74, Minkah Fitzpatrick had a 91. That is an incredibly high rating for a player in terms of Pro Football Focus's grades when they grade out players. This defense, like you said, Sammy, once TJ Watt comes back, can be a problem. On the other side, the fantasy football darling that was George Pickens, he only played 24 offensive snaps and saw 3 targets, catching only 1 ball for 3 yards. Don't be discouraged, in my opinion. I think this is a game where they leaned heavy on the run once they got ahead. Mitch Trubisky, I believe, only threw the ball for 38 times and completed 21 of them. So Trubisky, although he gets a lot of accolades, did not look great this game. So out of all the 21 completed passes, only one of them went to Pickens. So don't give up on him yet, but I would say he's getting close to drop or end of bench territory. He is not an automatic starter in my opinion. Yeah. Nor was he before this game, but he had a little bit of upside. I think he was the rookie with the highest upside. I no longer think that's the case.
Yeah, we did see the Pittsburgh defense look stifling for most of the game, but obviously that changed once TJ Watt left the game, and then you saw Joe Burrow do Joe Burrow hero things. I was watching the game with A-Rod, and he kind of predicted the comeback, and this is just how a lot of these Bengals-Steelers matchups go. So keep an eye on that Pittsburgh defense going forward. My worry meter on the Bengals right now is probably just about a 2 or a 3, so not very high. They're probably going to be all right.
They win the game if the kicker makes one kick.
Yeah,
makes 2 kicks. You get 2 chances. They win the game. I'm not worried at all.
But the 5 turnovers did worry me. So that's the only thing that I took away.
Those 5 turnovers were in the first half, weren't they? Or 4 of them were in the first half.
Yeah.
So not too worried about it.
Yeah.
Right. They went in there. What's his name? Zach Taylor made adjustments at halftime, like a good coach should. Right. And I know a lot of people sleep on Zach Taylor. Don't think he's a great coach. I'm not of that opinion. And, big sack here by Khalil Mack. And is that some guy named Tranquil? But it's a half a sack each. Big sack on Patrick Mahomes. It'll be a long third down here with the San Diego Chargers up 3.
Los Angeles Chargers?
Sorry, Los Angeles Chargers. I owe $40 every time I say San Diego.
But all right, moving on to one of the other games that was really exciting in that beginning of Sunday. The Philadelphia Eagles were victorious at the Detroit Lions 38-35. And this is something you and I pegged last week, 2 weeks ago, to keep an eye on these Detroit Lions. They're not going to be a great team, but they're going to be a fun team. And goodness gracious, this game was insane. 73 combined points between the teams. Jalen Hurts, 18 for 32, 243 yards, 17 carries, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Jared Goff wasn't so efficient. I think that will get better. I don't think he's going to be good. I think he's going to still turn the ball over a lot, but I think you're going to see a lot of yards from him going forward. 21 for 37, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Then DeAndre Swift was awesome, so if you drafted him, you must be feeling pretty good about this first game. 15 carries, 144 yards, and a touchdown. And then obviously A.J. Brown on the other side of the field, 10 receptions, 155 yards. And the positive side of that outlook on A.J. Brown is he did have 13 targets in this game. You look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. If some of you are down on Amon-Ra, I would not be too worried about it, although DJ Chark did steal some of the targets in this game, but you're looking at a team that's going to be throwing the ball a lot and probably be down and have to go into these slinging target games, and Amon-Ra had 12 targets, so that's still a positive sign going forward. But anyway, Vic, this game, would you love?
He caught 8 of his 12 targets, so but the only wide receiver I'm worried about in this game is Devonta Smith. He had a total of I believe it was 4 targets. Yeah, 4 targets. He caught none of his 4 targets. That is concerning, right? So let's look at the players. So he had as many targets as Kenneth Gainwell, backup running back, right? As many targets as Dallas Goedert, right? A.J. Brown took 13 of those targets. Now, granted, he had a great game with them. My worry here, though, Sammy, is that a lot of those targets, a lot of those throws are starting to go into designed runs for Jalen Hurts. He carried the ball 17 times.
Seriously, dude?
A team leading 17 times for 90 yards, which is great if that's his game plan. But I see RG3 2.0 here, Sammy. I'm just waiting for that ACL.
Dude, what frustrates me, and I was talking about this on Sunday with some of the people I was watching the game, is like you look at Miles Sanders have just one of his most efficient games. I don't know what more he has to do to get more carries. 13 carries, 96 yards. That's 7.4 yards per carry, and he finally got his touchdown He finally, after having a whole entire season of, I think he had 1,100 yards last year with no touchdowns. This year, he finally got his one touchdown. And then they took him back out. All the other goal line work went to Jalen Hurts, Kenneth Gainwell, and Boston Scott. I was just like, dude, this guy gets you all the way down the field, and then you take him off the field, and you don't let him cook, man. I feel so bad for Miles Sanders.
Well, let's look at it this way, Sammy. And JC, don't listen to Chris. He's just in there starting shit. It's not my birthday, everybody. So let's look at our rookie spotlight, okay? And where would we be for all of our hard? This one's for you, Kurt. Thank you for watching, by the way, Kurt. This one's for you. Malcolm Rodriguez had a strong debut. He missed 2 tackles, but only allowed 24 yards in the 4 catches that he was in pass protection. Malcolm Rodriguez, a guy of my own heart, happy to see him doing well on the big stage. Offensively, we talked about Jalen Hurts, and 66 of his yards came after contact?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think you're onto something. I really think you're on the RG3.
Yeah. So, we'll see what happens moving on, but here in the 80, DeAndre Swift also played in this game. Just, great running backs all around. Just great team effort by both teams. I really thought for a little bit that the Lions were going to pull this off.
I did too.
I'm not gonna lie. I like to see the Lions do well. That's my guy, Kurt. I'm rooting for his team to do well. Nobody hates the Lions. Holy shit! What are they doing? Okay, sorry, I just got distracted. The Chargers just tried a double pass. Did not fool the Chiefs. It is now 3rd and long. Anyway. So as we look down, well, Kurt, if you were listening earlier, sir, I picked that. Oh wait, I didn't say that on air, did I?
You did not yet.
All right, Kurt, I know you're driving down to Atlanta. If you keep us on, you will hear my lock of the week later on, and it might make you happy. So both teams played well, man. Both teams played hard. Defensives left a little bit what's the word? Left a little bit on the field, I think. I really thought the pass rush for the Lions would be a lot better with Aiden Hutchinson, but give him time. He's still a rookie.
Yep.
I like the outlook for both teams. I mean, this is one of the rare games where I like both teams moving forward.
I do too.
How about you?
Yeah.
Not necessarily to win the division. I think we picked both of these teams to hit the over, right?
Yep. We did.
Okay. So.
Yeah. But all right, moving on. The Lions are sneaky good. That is the key word here. And keep an eye on that Eagles offense. That's something you and I were talking about. We both actually really like the Eagles, but we said, watch Jalen Hurts. Do we see anything more? And I don't think we've seen anything more than what we already know Jalen Hurts can do. Granted, he did get A.J. Brown his 155 yards, but I mean, just more of the same meh stuff. 90 yards on the ground for a quarterback is a lot. But anyway, moving on to the shock of the week. This freaking game, oh God, it pissed me off. The Indianapolis Colts tied the Houston Texans 20-20. It's my final leg of one of my parlays. Jonathan Taylor with my beans, right? I was only betting beans. Jonathan Taylor, 31 carries, 161 yards, and a touchdown. Just an absolute monster. As always, we know he is RB number 1 or 1B or 1A, whatever you want to call it. He is up there.
1A.
Matt Ryan, 32 for 50, 352 yards, and a touchdown and a pick. I think that's really key here. I think Matt Ryan coming out in the first game having 350 yards is a good sign. I think there's some things to work on. But anyway, Davis Mills, 23 for 37, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Michael Pittman, wide receiver 1. He should be up there. He's having a great year. I know JC drafted him, and he's doing really well. 9 receptions, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. I believe he also had 12 targets as well. So, Vic, what the hell happened in this game? And if you're the Colts, are you worried, bro?
No. Not yet. I don't subscribe to overreaction theater, so I'm not too worried right now. I agree with you, JC. Ties the NFL are a joke, but as a soccer fan, I can't talk shit. The biggest thing that I want to talk about this game was actually fantasy impact of another rookie wide receiver, and Alec Pierce, who was another darling of drafts later as a late sleeper. Just goes to show you that these rookie wide receivers are going to take time to develop. So if you don't have time or you don't have the roster spot to waste on waiting for one of these guys to come around in 6 weeks, something like that, then I would consider dumping them. But if you have the space, if you have the time to wait, if you have this roster spot to waste, definitely do so. And that's a catch at the 1 yard line. The Los Angeles Chargers are now in the red zone after a big catch by Mike. I believe that's Mike Williams at the 1 yard line. Sorry, guys. But yeah, that's all. I really didn't take much from it. It was a boring game, Sammy.
Yeah.
Great comeback from the Colts to only end up tying it at the end.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor's great.
If you're the Colts, you'd probably be worried about a 2, maybe a 3. It's a whole new offense. They'll clean up the turnovers. They had two turnovers. Turned out to be the major difference, I think, in this game to keep the Texans in it. Gave them a lot of life. You kept seeing the momentum shift, and you don't want that from a team that's really trying. And I think we see that from the Houston Texans last year as well as this year. They're a feisty team, right? And if you give them any sort of momentum, they can pull one out on you. And another positive for the Colts, the 39 to 30 time of possession metric, looked really good. Matt Ryan, 350 yards. There's just certain things that they got to clean up going forward, and I think they will. Jonathan Taylor looks good as ever. He looks in midseason form. That's really, really good. So I think the Colts will be fine.
Agreed.
All right. Did you want to do the Raiders-Chargers since the Chargers are playing right now, or do you want to skip over that one?
Yeah, we already touched a little bit on it last week. Touchdown. Wait, hold on. Sony Michel, as we know as Pats fans, runs into a brick wall at the 1 yard line, stuffed. It's still 2nd and 1, Chargers. As the Chargers regroup here, I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna jump in here, Sammy, and just talk about this game real quick while we have the Chargers at the 1 yard line, and we have a timeout on the field. So actually, end of the first quarter. Your first quarter score is Chargers 3, Chiefs 0. Again, the Chargers are at the Chiefs 1 yard line, knocking on the door. So, saying back to your thing, are you worried? Let's just say, are you worried about the Raiders? That's it. That's all I want to hear. Are you worried?
No, I think the Chargers are a good team. You look at Khalil Mack registering 3 sacks, as I talked about earlier, 9 QB hits for the Chargers, including 6 sacks and 3 interceptions on Derek Carr. This Chargers defense is really good. The offense is pretty balanced and efficient. I'm not too worried. The fact that the Raiders were even still in this game is a good sign. Devontae Adams is insane because he was really the only one that looked like he could get separation against this defense, and I think that's really telling. I don't think there's a lot of other defenses that are as balanced as this Chargers defense, as well, or as a balanced team as the defense and the offense is kind of meshed in the Chargers that the Raiders will see, and I think this division is really freaking good. So if I'm the Raiders, take your hat off. You lost by 5 to probably one of the better teams, and if not the team that might probably, and a lot of people are pegging to win the division. I think it's still the Chiefs, but still a good chance the Chargers win that division. Are you worried for the Raiders?
No.
All right, moving on. What are we at the game? Is it still on commercial break?
Still on commercial break. Once we come back, I will give you the breakdown. I am not a color commentator, but I am going to pretend like I'm one.
Yeah, we love that. All right, so the next game, this is I'm going through these games because these are some of the big upsets that we saw this week, and we just don't want people to be too worried. So the Chicago Bears versus the San Francisco 49ers. So this was in Chicago in Soldier Field. The Bears won 19-10. Trey Lance 13 for 28, 164 yards and a pick. He had 54 yards rushing. Justin Fields 8 for 17. Ouch. 121 yards, an interception, and then he had 28 yards rushing. If I'm a fantasy owner of any players here, including Deebo Samuel, if I'm a Niners fan, I'm taking everything that you saw in this game and I'm throwing it straight in the garbage, and I'm not even worried about that because that field was disgusting. What about you?
Sammy, I was just about to say the same thing. When we were going over the outline, actually, I mentioned to you that this is a lot of games, and this is the one game that I thought we should take out because there's nothing garnered from this game here. There's nothing learned. I mean, that field was in a shit condition. It just was. It reminds me of the game, the Patriots game, where they played with like the crazy ass winds, and then Mac Jones threw the ball twice. That's how I feel. That's how I felt. And then we're back to live football here. We have the Chargers at the 1. Herbert is in the dual back I formation, motioning. Fake handoff to the tight end, to the fullback for a touchdown. Is his name Horvath? Horvath, not the United States men's national team backup goalkeeper, but the fullback for the San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers.
Nice. We love that. And that update was brought to you by Heinz Ketchup. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, take that game, throw it in the trash. We probably will too. Moving on. Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings. This was an incredible game if you hate the Packers like Vic and I do. And this was something that Vic and I mentioned on our podcast when we went through this. Be wary of the Green Bay Packers. And this is not overreaction theater. This is the truth theater. And I think this is the truth about the Green Bay Packers this season. As Vic loves to talk about with rookie wide receivers, it takes them a long time to learn the route tree, to learn the offense. And you're talking about a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, 22 for 34, 195 yards and a pick, who is surrounded by rookie wide receivers. Granted, I think this team might still have enough to stay afloat because you have Aaron Rodgers, but when you have a team surrounded by really, really young players, this is what's going to happen. And you run into a truck. Justin Jefferson, 9 receptions, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns on 11 targets. Goodness gracious, Vic. Talk to me about Justin Jefferson and the Vikings.
I mean, Justin Jefferson was great, but I want to go back to the Packers here, Sammy. The rookie guard, Ed Ingram, surrendered 5 pressures, allowed 1 sack, 3 hits, and 1 hurry on 33 pass blocking snaps to finish with the worst initial pass blocking grade in the game. So not only does he have rookies at the offensive skill positions, he also has them in the in the offensive line as well. I don't think this team is good offensively, defensively. I think this is more of a Packers are bad than the Vikings are world stoppers. Granted, I do think the Vikings are a good team. And if I remember correctly, I believe I picked them to be the division champions, right?
I think we both did, yeah.
Yeah. So Kirk Cousins, another Kirk Cousins game, man. This is what he does. He's consistent. 23 of 32, 277 yards with 2 touchdowns. It's got to sound like A-Rod right there. If you're looking at Aaron Jones here, 5 carries, 49 yards. A.J. Dillon, 10 carries, 45 yards. That's a backfield I want nothing to do with. Honestly, it's a timeshare between two running backs that are decent, but neither really stand out. This is what's going to happen. You're going to end up starting the right one. You're going to end up starting the wrong one the next week. I would avoid both in fantasy if you can. If you're stuck with one, I think Dillon is an RB2. Ceiling is an RB2. Aaron Jones, flex. Ceiling is an RB2, in my opinion. On the offensive side, on the receiving side of the ball, I don't think you want any of these Green Bay wide receivers. Aaron Rodgers is known to spread it out, but it looks like A.J. Dillon had the majority of the catches here. He had 5 receptions for 46 yards.
Can you talk to me how many targets Romeo Doubs had?
I'm sorry, Sammy. Was that you broke up?
How many targets did Romeo Doubs had?
Romeo Doubs had five targets for 4 receptions for 37 yards. And
keep an eye on that. That was my sleeper going into the year. One of the receivers that I think could catch on to the offense quicker than anyone else. So again, if you're looking for fantasy value, you want, like Vic said, another wide receiver that could potentially break out. There's obviously other ones above them: Chris Olave, Traylon Burks, the other receiver that you mentioned, Perkins. But Romeo Doubs is another wide receiver that will probably catch on to that offense quicker and with an offense that's probably going to have to throw the ball a lot and a quarterback that can do it, this team does suck. So, yeah.
I mean, honestly, all these wide receivers are terrible. I
All
wouldn't want
rookies.
any of them.
Except
wouldn't want any.
except Randall Cobb, but
What are you talking about? There's Robert Tunyon, there's Sammy Watkins, there's Randall Cobb. There's plenty of veterans on this team, but they're just
They're
not
not
getting
good.
the ball. They're not
Yeah.
getting separation. As Mahomes does the deep ball and is intercepted.
Derwin James?
It was no Aguilar, the free safety in the back there. It looks like that there was a flag on the play, so let's wait to see that flag. Anyway, on the other side of the ball, like you said, Justin Jefferson, incredible game by him. 11 targets, 97 yards. 11 targets, 9 receptions, 184 yards. I mean, that guy's an animal, dude. I mean, absolute animal. There was a reason he was the number one wide receiver taking in Fantasy Draft. So, definitely worth keeping an eye on him. If you have a chance to get Justin Jefferson in your league, you're giving up the kitchen sink, in my opinion. Dalvin Cook, another great fantasy game. 20 carries, 90 yards. But even on the receiving side of the ball, he caught 3 of his 5 targets for 18 yards. Dalvin Cook remains at RB1, in my opinion. Madison is definitely needed as a handcuff.
All right, so I think we got 2 more games to get to. One we'll go through quick. The other one we'll dive a little deeper in. So the first one, real quick, the New York Football Giants beat the Tennessee Titans 21-20. I think the biggest story for this game is Saquon Barkley is back. You're looking at what Brian Daboll is bringing to this offense. He's obviously looking to heavily involve Saquon Barkley, and I think that'll eventually grow into Daniel Jones getting a little more confident going forward. Granted, I think it's really early in the season. I don't think the Giants are going to be very good. However, I think this was a meaningful game to show Saquon Barkley's dominance and that maybe he's a little more comfortable going forward. Anything you want to get to on this game, Vic?
Well, just before I get to this game, that pick was wiped off the board for defensive pass interference. It's currently 3rd down, Chiefs. So, I think Sammy, I think you're absolutely right. Saquon Barkley looked amazing, averaging 9.1 yards per carry with a long of 68. So take that. Even without the long of 68, he still had a decent amount of yardage here, about 90. Matt, you do the quick math, Sammy. You're the smart one. But yeah. Oh, and now the Kansas City Chiefs have it inside the 10, but there is a flag on the field. What did you think about Tannehill's game, Sammy?
I didn't hate it. I thought he was efficient as always. He's what you want. You're looking at 19 fantasy points. Somebody you talked about that you like in fantasy sometimes if you're going super late, and I think that's pretty good value right there. 20 for 33, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, yards per attempt, he was about 8. His long was 31 yards down the field. I mean, when I'm looking down on this target share, it's really interesting to see Kyle Phillips with 9 targets on the game. If you're a fantasy owner and you're looking for a sneaky waiver wire pick for a wide receiver in a PPR league, Kyle Phillips might be worth it, man.
Touchdown, Jerick McKinnon. 10-6 now, the Chargers lead. Yeah, I think that there's some value here. Are you worried at all about Derrick Henry?
Hold on, how many? I'm trying to see here.
21. He
Oh, yeah.
won 21 for 82, 3.9 yards per carry.
Yeah. Not great, especially against a Giants defense that I didn't peg as being very, very good this year. And that's 21 carries, so you're looking at it at yards per carry, about 3.9 to 4. You really want to hope that having Dontrell Hilliard isn't going to keep pulling away from his value. But I don't know. I honestly don't know what to think here because I thought the Giants were that bad. I was totally wrong. I mean, I didn't think the Titans were that good, but I didn't think.
Yeah, I raised a concern when I told you that the cash was on the Giants last week,
Yeah,
even though the tickets were on the Titans. So the Sharps did something we didn't, and they were right
they were.
as always. Yep. So I mean, that's all I have from that one.
Yeah. I would be a little bit concerned though for Derrick Henry. But all
Yeah,
right.
same here.
The final game, not the final game of the week, but the final game we're going to get to tonight. Obviously, I really wanted to get to that Seahawks game, but it's all good. This is one that's closer to home for us. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Dallas Cowboys 19-3 in what looked like just I don't know. Boring. I mean, the game was pretty boring. I mean, you looked at a nice resurgence from Leonard Fournette.
I'd rather talk about the Seahawks game.
All right, let's do it. I mean, yeah, the Buccaneers won.
I mean, we can. Yeah, Buccaneers won. They dismantled the Cowboys. The Cowboys are in trouble. That's. And honestly, like I know this is overreaction theater, but I think they're in trouble. Sammy, your thoughts?
Yep, I 100% agree. Dak Prescott is out at least 6 to 8 weeks. You're looking at an injury that Russell Wilson had last year, and even when he came back, I think in 5 to 6 weeks, he did not look good at all. So, yeah, that's not looking good.
They're in trouble.
Yeah,
They're in trouble.
they're one of the teams. If you're looking at it, they're one of the teams that are most likely, unless they want to punt the season, they may have to call San Francisco up and see if Jimmy Garoppolo is available. If they want to stay in that division.
I would. Well, I don't know. They could go both ways, right? Right now they're +7. They're 7-point dogs to the Bengals this weekend. I would hammer the Bengals.
Yeah, that looks like a lock for me too.
Yeah.
But all right, Monday Night Football. What a freaking game that was, and it just was mind blowing to me at the end of that game. Right? I mean, the Denver Broncos were obviously not victorious in Russell Wilson's return to Seattle. 17-16, Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith looking efficient as ever, like we ever doubted Geno Smith, right? 23 for 28, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was very clearly sarcasm. Russell Wilson, 29 for 42, 340 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, it all came down. I mean, it came down to, and I know this is cliche, but I think it really did. It came down to the turnovers and that last drive. What say you, Vic?
Yeah. Okay, so I want to give a bigger show of the game, I guess. The biggest thing that stood out for me, Sammy, is there was only 27 total targets to go around on the Seattle Seahawks roster. 7 of those targets went to DK Metcalf. 4 of those targets went to Tyler Lockett. So those of you who said that Tyler Lockett was done are incorrect. Okay, I'm taking this look as a huge fantasy output game, right? So I'm looking at Jerry Jeudy, right? Great game from Jerry Jeudy, right? 23 fantasy points, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 102 yards, and a touchdown. Javonte Williams, another great game, right? He had 12 targets as a running back. That's insane. 12 targets as a running back. Rushing, he did all right, averaging 6.1 yards per carry on 7 carries. Malcolm Gordon got the lion's share. He did. I think it's a matter of time before Javonte Williams is the number 1 running back, hands down, in Denver. Cortland Sutton looked good as well. 7 targets, 4 receptions, 72 yards, another solid outing. Lots of good options on both of these teams. And if you're sleeping on the Seattle Seahawks, don't be. You had some good games from DK Metcalf, who gave I know he only gave you 9.6 yards against DK Metcalf, but he caught all 7 of his targets. All right,
it's ridiculous.
That's a good sign. Tyler Lockett, same thing. Although he only had 4 targets, he had 3 receptions on those 4 targets. Those garbage time numbers are going to come, where they're going to have to air it out, and those are the 2 guys that obviously Geno Smith trusts. Geno Smith on the fantasy-wise section. 6 carries, 14 yards, very pedestrian there. But as far as a game manager perspective, 23 of 28 for 195 yards, no turnovers. That's what he needs to do for Seattle to win. I like the Seahawks. Let's ride, baby. I kind of like the Seahawks.
I think that's a little bit of overreaction theater. I think this is
It
another
is.
situation where you're looking at a brand new team. This is something you and I pointed out too. We say, watch out. Like, it's going to be kind of a weird start for this team, but when this team gets running, I think this Denver Broncos team can be very, very good. I think you look at a Seahawks team who all the hype from Monday night was in that first half, right? I mean, they scored the bulk of their points in that first half, and it was the second half where Denver just could not score the football, and it was a combination of bad play calling. Obviously, the fumbles were extremely costly. And then that play at the end of the game, you don't let your $250 million quarterback try and get a first down on that play or make a play for a touchdown. That is absolutely fucking bananas. Excuse my French. You had 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. And they were just walking.
No timeout called.
They had 3 timeouts. Yeah, 3 timeouts they had. But yeah.
Very strange.
Very strange.
Very strange. But an entertaining game, and I'm not gonna lie, it felt great to watch Seattle pull this one out.
Yeah, I actually really liked it. I'm happy for Geno Smith. I'm not gonna jump all in on that Geno Smith bandwagon. There's too much statistics. There's too much history behind it to jump all in on Geno Smith. But I'm with you. Sneaky team. Keep an eye on them. See what happens this next week against San Francisco.
Geno Smith is not a quarterback that's coming into a new situation. He's been with Pete Carroll for years now. He was the backup last year. He knows this offense. I think I'm in on Geno Smith.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. I would take Geno Smith over Mac Jones right now, straight up.
You're insane.
You called me insane when I picked the Bengals last year.
I didn't. I was the only one that didn't. Wow. That's the hottest of takes, and I love it. I think that's a perfect way to close out the segment.
Yep. All right.
All right. So, with that being said, we thank each and every one of you for joining us this week. Unfortunately, no Townie takeaway since, we did do this on a Thursday. Oh, you want to?
Hold on. How quickly can you get a picture up here?
What picture you need?
All right. Can you please put up the United States men's national team kits up there, please?
Oh yeah.
All right. So for those of you that don't know, the United States men's national team, they have 2 friendlies before the World Cup coming in September. So basically, this is going to be even though Sammy doesn't like to say it, this is probably a dress rehearsal for. There we go. Perfect. Yes. Throw them up there. Okay. Probably gonna be so. Yes, the roster was announced. Whatever. I don't want to talk about the roster. It's just a quick thing. Look at these fucking jerseys. Nike had years to come up with a World Cup jersey, and this is the shit they give us. I mean, these are gross. Compare them to some of the other teams' jerseys. These are the most disgusting jerseys I've ever seen. Sammy, your thoughts?
Yeah, that was underwhelming. I don't know what they were doing with the white one. It doesn't look appealing to the eye. The blue one I can kind of get a little bit behind, but I mean, like you mentioned, that's all. I don't hate it. I mean, that's if you see a lot of the Nike uniforms.
It's like my toilet after a Saturday night with some sangria.
All I'm saying is I'm not opposed to it because you see that a lot, and in a lot of the newer Nike uniforms, they do some sort of weird design. But for me, I'm with you. I don't love it, and it's not appealing.
It's disgusting. That's my tiny takeaway. Fuck you, Nike.
With that being said, thank you everybody for joining us on this Thursday evening. We know you could be anywhere else, but you chose us, and we thank you so much. We hope to see you next week, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll give you some more recaps, some more great takes. Vic, actually, real quick, what is your early lock for Sunday? Hit me.
So my lock for Sunday is, I'm sorry, I have it right here. I have the Detroit Lions So the Washington Commanders at the Detroit Lions. I have the Detroit Lions -1.5. Book it.
Book that, hammer it. Detroit Lions, big Detroit Lions show. You're welcome, Average Kurt. But yes, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We hope we make you some beans this week. I apologize about last week, Friday. Vic, please send me your locks tomorrow so that I can post them on the socials so we can tell everybody how to make some extra beans. And yeah, with that being said, I'm Sammy, and you can check us out on social media at Townie_sports on Instagram and at Townie Sports Pod on TikTok. So don't forget. Also, like and subscribe to the video. Like and subscribe to the video. Like, subscribe. We love you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. I'm Sammy. That's Vic. We are
Thank you.
Townie Sports.
Swag so mean, swagger on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G clan stay blunted. My toes stay bruised, cause I'm running to the money. Swag so mean, swagger on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G clan stay blunted. My